Good afternoon, dear friends. On the Avdeevka front, we have a relative calm. The front line is stable. There aren't any significant major breakthroughs, so we can turn our attention to the rest of the front lines, and it is quite lengthy for us. Therefore, I suggest we immediately divide it into several parts. The southern part, the so-called Kherson direction, following the Dnieper River, and the Zaporizhzhia direction, the Donetsk direction, onto our northern flank, which stretches from Kreminna to Svatove, and further to Kupiansk. I'm assuming that the pattern of hostilities in 2024 from the armed forces of the Russian Federation will be the following. For the assault on the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration, we will need to reach the banks of the Oskil River from the north in order to cover the Oskil Reservoir from the west, take the Kupiansk railway station, and by doing so block the northern route stopping the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration, eliminate the Seversky salient, because without an assault on the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration is practically impossible. Also, back in early 2024, I had assumed that we would be eliminating the Avdeevka salient. It's been eliminated. And we will also be eliminating the Rabotinsky salient, which was formed as a result of the enemy's summer counteroffensive from the direction of Orekiv. The Rabotinsky salient took shape in the summer due to the counteroffensive of the armed forces, which according to their plan ought to have broken through to Takmak, then onwards to Melitopol, and via two columns, heading towards Perekop, Isthmus, and Berdyansk. In this way, they intended to interrupt the land communication of Crimea with the mainland part of Russia. In reality, the salient is all that the armed forces managed to accomplish from the planned operation, and the capture of Rabotinsky was supposed to take a single day according to their offensive plans, yet the battles for Rabotinsky in themselves took several months. Regardless of all the alarmist comments I heard in the summer of 2023, in this year, the Ukrainian armed forces haven't managed to penetrate a single defensive line, known as Surovikin's. The thing is, Surovikin's first defensive line in this area extends to the west of Verbolov. That's where they faced resistance. Then it continues south of Novoprokopovka and crosses the Sweet Ravine to reach Chistopolye. You can observe for yourselves that they only reached the first defensive line in a very narrow area where they were halted. They didn't even reach it from the north. The salient was also defended through the summer, including by the 810th Marine Brigade, our good acquaintances, who we supplied with digital radio communication kits, which performed exceptionally well in the battles. In fact, the 810th soldiers held back the enemy at Novoprokopovka, and by the time our current winter counteroffensive began, the front line just passed its northern periphery. The current configuration is as follows. From the west, that is, on the left, our left flank is provided by the 76th Air Assault Division, and the right flank on the east is supported by units of the 7th Air Assault Division. The actual assault on Novoprokopovka is being led by, according to open sources, not revealing any secret information, 3 brigades, the 1360 and 71st. We managed to advance the enemy to the north of Novoprokopovka and reach the western outskirts of Rabotin. Rabotin itself now appears to be almost a completely open field with crushed bricks, making it difficult to storm as there's nowhere for us or the enemy to dig in. Here it will be a pure artillery war, and whoever's artillery proves more efficient and infantry units more stable will generally seize Rabotin. Why do we need Rabotin? And in general, why do we need to eliminate the Rabotin salient? The fact is that behind the Rabotin salient is Novodanilovka and Orekov, the Orekovsky fortified area, and without its capture it is impossible to advance towards Zaporozhye. Transitioning from the Rabotin direction to the Donets, where the main news is coming from the Marinka area, we'll talk about Vuhledar later, but let's focus on the fortified area of Vuhledar. The problem is that this has been a persistent thorn in this side of our armed forces, and has been so for a considerable length of time. During the winter of 2022 and 2023, the armed forces of the Russian Federation attempted several storming operations against Vuhledar from the direction of Pavlivka. But Pavlivka is in a lowland and Vuhledar is elevated. Moreover, Pavlivka consists of low-rise buildings, while Vuhledar is made up of high-rise buildings. There were several attacks almost in a row, all of which ended in failure. As a consequence of this, Rustam Muradov was relieved from his command duties in this direction.